Hey everybody, Carlo here. Some people have asked about how we're doing live stream sound at Bethel here in Stratford. It's not crazy overcomplicated, and I think if I was able to learn how to do it from YouTube and some tutorials and some great friends that have shown me, hopefully I can help you do it as well. Most people are streaming their live sound just from an aux or a bus from their mixer right into their switcher or into OBS or something. I think that's a really, really awesome way to start. But if you want to take it up to the next level and top notch it, then hopefully this video can help you out. So the first thing that you need is a digital mixer. Now, if you work at a church and you're watching this, you probably already have one, odds are. So on your digital mixer, whether you're using Allen & Heath, Yamaha, Personas, Behringer, Midas, there's a bunch of different ones. You need one that has a USB port on it. Almost all of them come with the ability to do that. The reason why you want USB is that's where you're gonna send all your information to and from a computer to mix for your live stream sound. So what you have to do is, every mixer is going to be a little bit different, but you need to go to your ins and outputs page on your mixer, and you need to send all of your inputs, so things that you're plugging into the mixer, like your microphones, maybe a computer that's playing videos, like announcement videos or something, your drums, if you're using any tracks, or if you have a pad, keyboards, every single input that you want the internet to hear, just like in your sanctuary, your auditorium, you want to send all of that to the USB part on your input output on your mixer. I'm not going to go into that on this one because all of them are different, and you can look up how to do that on YouTube or any type of forum, or read the instruction manual to figure out how to send all that information, just like to your speakers or to your in-ear monitors or wedges, but to your USB channel. So a really awesome tool that I found on Amazon, it was like 60 or 70 bucks, is this little thing. And there's another side of this in my office, and it's a USB extender. So from the output USB on the back of your mixer, you're gonna plug into this, and then it can extend up to 150 feet over Cat6, which is like an Ethernet cable that sends video and audio, but we're only sending audio. So you need one of these. This one is specifically branded to say that it works with digital mixers. It's the only one that I could be able to find. I'll try and find a picture from Amazon so you can look it up and try it out. This replaces the need for Dante, which is the right way to do it. It's a networking protocol that you can send audio to and from all these different devices. It's really expensive, and it could be confusing for any type of beginner or pastor that's just getting into learning how to work audio. So check this one out. So we're now in my office, and this is where we actually mix the live stream sound. So from the back of the mixer into that USB to Ethernet adapter, we go up through the ceiling, over about 120 to 150 feet, down through here, into the adapter, into this Mac Mini. Now, I've chosen to use a dedicated computer, and we just use Mac at the church, but you could use PC, but I've only really ever used Mac, so that's kind of all I know. So we have a dedicated computer running the live stream sound. So you might be asking, why don't you just do it in the same room and just use a small USB adapter? It's really difficult to mix with headphones for live stream in a room that's already really loud from your front of house speaker. So we put it in a complete separate room with a decent pair of studio monitors. I've owned these ones for years. You could also just buy a really good pair of headphones and try with that. But if you have the ability and the budget to get some monitors, I would suggest doing that. So you're gonna need that dedicated computer. In our case, it's a Mac Mini, a 2019 or 2018, and it has 8 gigs of RAM. I would suggest not going lower than that. It's the base model for us, and it works just fine. You're gonna need that to use a program called a DAW, a digital audio workstation, which is to record music. There's lots of different ones like Ableton, Studio One, Pro Tools is kind of the industry standard. I decided to use Logic Pro because I've owned it for years, and that's what I'm most comfortable in. It's also really user-friendly, and it's affordable. I think it's like 300 bucks in the App Store, and it's really, really awesome. So that's what I'm gonna quickly show you how to use today. So I'm gonna open up a template that myself and a friend of mine had made for our church, but if you wanna go this route, you can buy pre-made templates now for worship ministries and churches that you kind of just plop in your own files and your own tracks, and you're good to go. But I wanted to be able to do it myself and really learn the ins and outs and save some money. So we're using Logic Pro X. Which I mentioned I've had for years. I'm going to open up a session from a couple weeks ago where me and my wife had led worship. We normally don't record the audio, but this was a week that we did. So it's going to open up, and you're going to see something along the lines of this. But what you'll normally see is something like this. So you're going to see lots of faders, you're going to see lots of knobs and buttons. So it's a little bit similar to what you've seen on an actual mixer in your sanctuary or in your worship auditorium. And basically what we do is we send all of our microphones and inputs, guitars, keyboards, everything like that to this computer. So how we do that is we go to audio, we choose what input device we want, which is our SQ audio, aka the mixer that's in our sanctuary. And so all the information comes into the program, gets affected here on this computer, and then we also choose to send it out. So in this next clip of the video, I'll teach you how to make a multi-out. So the reason why you want to do a multi-out is because you want to send the sound to two places at once. I want to be able to send it to the studio monitors here in my office so I can listen and mix on good quality speakers. And I also want to send it back to the mixer because that's where it connects to our switcher and then another computer to our live stream. So the way you do that is you go to audio MIDI setup, and you can just search that in your tools up in the right hand corner of your Mac, and you're going to want to press this plus symbol down here and make a multi-output device, and then you can choose what you want. I'm not going to make one because I already have one, but I've called it SQ multi-out. I've chose SQ audio, which is our mixer, and the external headphones, which is what my speakers are plugged into this Mac Mini. So I could separately listen to the audio from here and send it back simultaneously without it affecting each other. So really quick, I forgot to mention in the video, so we're filming this kind of in the middle of it. You use your DAW, which is Logic Pro X for us, and you're going to use plugins, which are effects that you put on all your different channels, like your kick drum, your microphones, and all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch that you would want to get. I suggest getting drum triggers, Waves Auto Tune, some compressors, and a really good EQ. So we're going to take a moment to talk about those. So one of the most important ones I would say to start with is getting drum replacement. So we use the plugin, the Steven Slate Trigger. So what it does is every time, let's say, the kick drum makes a signal through the microphone, it takes that and replaces it the sound with an audio sample of a professionally recorded kick drum. So it's not like an electronic kit. And what this does is it makes your drums sound really, really awesome no matter who's playing and what kit you're using, because it's replacing all the sounds in real time. So if we take a listen to it, here is the different sounds that we have for the kick drum. So we have this kind of, thuddy normal kick drum sound. We have a room one that's a little more echoey. And then we have this tight sound. That's kind of just the beater head of the drum. Now, here's what it sounds like without the trigger. And I'm gonna turn this up a little bit so hopefully you could hear it. Terrible, sounds like crap, right? But the moment I send the trigger, it sounds awesome, and it always makes that sound. So it's very, very reliable, and it's very, very consistent. So we do that with the kick, we do that with the snare, our true toms, but our overhead cymbals and our hi-hat microphone, we leave just normal. Another really important one that we use at the church is auto-tune. So it's not what you think. It's not to turn your vocalists to sound like T-Pain or Cher, although that would be hilarious. We use it to really smooth it out. I know that naturally I'm a bit of a pitchy singer. So what auto-tune does is we don't use it full blast and cranked, but we use it just to smooth it out a little bit. Here's the thing, YouTube, video cameras, audio, is unforgiving. You hear every little mistake, you see every little mistake, versus when you're in the room for real, your ears and your eyes are much more forgiving. The screen is not in any way. So we use auto-tune just to smooth it out. It's not to make bad singers good, it's just to make good singers a little bit even better. So we use the Waves one, and it's really cool. You can set your parameters of how much that you want, and then down here you could choose either what key you're doing in. So every time we switch a key in the song, whoever's back here, all they have to do is open up this and choose the key that the worship leaders are singing in. The other two plugins I would suggest getting is either a few different ones or a package of some sort of compressors. Now, I'm not going to go into what compressors do and how you use them, but basically it takes all of your high frequencies and your low frequencies, like your loud and quiet ones, and it squeezes them together. Here's the thing, in a room, you don't need to do crazy compression because your ears are able to hear lots of different sounds, but through just one speaker or a pair of speakers on a computer or a phone, a guitar might be crazy loud and the bass might be really quiet, or vice versa. And a compressor is going to squeeze those signals so you have something consistent for your entire mix. So again, we use a bunch of Waves plugins, but we use CLA 76, LA 2A compressors, and you can get these as a package from Waves. And we also use the SSL channel strip. Now this is EQ that has a bunch of different bands on it, and EQ is just to be able to shape the tone of either your vocal, your guitar, maybe your drums, your bass, really on anything. And we use compression and EQ on absolutely everything. Again, you can go ahead and research that on YouTube and read about it. You're definitely going to want to get some drum triggers. You're going to get auto tune for your voices, and you want to get a really great EQ and a really great compressor, or a few of them, to use on your mix. So I don't know if this is the correct way, but what I've read and what I've watched and people that I really admire, but learning from these kinds of things, is to, when you're mixing for live stream, start with your drums. You don't want to be turning your drums up and down throughout your stream. So what I like to do is I like to try and get my drums as loud as I can without clipping in the mix, and then I mix everything according to that. So I'm not turning up my kick drum or turning up my snare or up and down. I'll mix all the other vocals and instruments and anything else in comparison to the drums. So I always start with the drums. So here's just a quick listen so you can actually hear it. So really big kick, the snare, it sounds like a shotgun. It's really, really awesome. So now I'll give you a little look, and you'll be able to hear what the mix sounds like through an iPhone speaker, of course, but hopefully this helps a little bit. So we'll start with our drums. We got them at a decent level of where we want, and I'm just gonna start adding in instruments. So now we're here back in our worship auditorium at Bethel, and I want to give you a little bit of a roadmap on how the signal flow works. Now this can be a little bit confusing, and it might be a little bit different for each church, but this is how we've done it and set it up, and it works really well every Sunday. By the way, before we do that, I want to quickly mention that every Sunday, other than myself, we have kids and students and other people helping run all of our live stream stuff, whether it comes to cameras or ProPresenter or live stream sound, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So this seems overwhelming, but it can be done with a team with novice experience, and I'm really proud of our team and the way they've adapted and learned, and they're doing a great job every Sunday. So if I can do it with my team, you can do it with your team. So here's the roadmap. You have all your instruments plug in into your stage box or your snake that go to your mixer. So you got all of your sources of audio, microphones, drums, keyboards, that kind of stuff, plug into your mixer. You're gonna send all of that just like you do to your front of house or to your in-ears, but you're gonna send it over USB at the same time into a separate room, because you want to mix in a quiet room so you're not getting a bleed from this room or vice versa. So you got your stage into your mixer, from your mixer over USB into another room where it's going to plug into a dedicated computer to run your DAW, your digital audio workstation, which is going to affect all the sound, right? So we use Logic Pro X on a base model Mac Mini from like 2018, 8 gigs of RAM, and it works perfectly fine. I wouldn't go any lower than 8 gigs again, but 8 gigs is plenty. So stage to the mixer, mixer to your computer. You're gonna mix that down to a stereo left and right mix, and which Logic does for you, and then it's gonna send back to the mixer. The reason why we go all the way back here is because our switcher is right beside. So from our mixer to our switcher, we go analog out, stereo. So we take that stereo feed from the computer into here, analog out of this rat's nest, 2 cables, back to our switcher. So stage, mixer, computer, back to the mixer, analog into the switcher. Now we use Blackmagic for all of our camera work. So our cameras and our switcher are all the same company, and they work really well together like that. What's really nice about this one is the latency from the audio and the video to the switcher just happen to meet up exactly where they need to. So when someone's strumming a guitar or singing, it's spot on for video and audio. I know that a lot of people live stream, they sometimes struggle with that. So ours just happens to work. We align it up actually before it hits the computer and the internet. So we got stage to the mixer, mixer to the computer, computer back to the mixer, mixer to the switcher, and from the switcher we do a program feed, the finished feed of audio and video, anything overlaying like lyrics or name tags or sermon notes, all done in real time. So there's no editing in post. Everything is done all in real time to our switcher, program feed out to our streaming computer, which we have another MacBook in my office. So the person that does the live stream sound also makes sure that the live stream's happening. What I would suggest though is that you don't run one computer for both things. That's gonna be way too much on your computer, especially if you're streaming through OBS, which is what we're doing because it's a free platform to use. So hopefully this wasn't too confusing. I know there's a lot of information and stuff to take in, but I'd love to help you in any way that I can. I wasn't able to mention every little piece of information of how to put this all together in this quick video, but if I can help you, I'd love to, or at least get you guided on the right way. I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just a worship pastor, or not worship pastor, a youth pastor, trying to figure out all this kind of stuff this year, just like you. So if I can help, send me a message and I'd love to connect with you. Peace.